Hello, everyone, and welcome to week number 3 of the Prep Phase League. I am Lothans, of course, joined by Restart Gaming. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Always good to join you, Lothans.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, of course. Now, we've got a lot of great stuff on the docket here for you guys, but before we get into that, a little bit of a conversation between Restart and myself. Uh, who do we have coming up here on our stream, sir?
Well, first we've got a match between Just Shoot 'em and COTP. These are both teams that have a little bit of a rough start for the first 2 weeks, and they really need some points badly. This is a great chance for either team to rocket out of the tier they're in and really start to get in a spot to compete for that final tournament because points are starting to matter a lot at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question these guys need to do some serious sweeping to get those 3 points in, though. But who's it going to be? We're going to have to find out, of course. And then round number 2 looks like we're going to be looking at Play for Fun versus Just Shoot 'em. So Just Shoot 'em going to be featured here on the Twitch stream, looks like.
Yeah, Just Shoot 'em is going to be playing in both matches, regardless of how they do in either match. And then our second team coming up is, as you said, Play for Fun. Play for Fun's doing actually really well this season, has a 5-3 record, and it'll be interesting to see if Just Shoot 'em takes that first match. They could also have 5 wins, and this could be 2 5-win teams coming at them. So does Just Shoot 'em has what it takes to not only vault over COTP, but they could also take a lead off of a very strong leading team right now. It's an exciting week, especially for this Just Shoot 'em team.
Yeah, no question. And of course, Play for Fun actually has their main roster for this weekend, so we may be able to expect a little bit more of a performance out of them if they've had time to practice with their starting squad. Obviously, we want to see something like that. You know, obviously they want to see something like that as well. Definitely, they got to put on a good show. They got to have a good showing here this weekend, or it's going to be an uphill battle the rest of the season. I'm afraid.
Yeah, there's a lot of battling left to do. Well, this is only week 3. It is usually only a 6-week season. Now, there will be some sweeping changes coming up, and we can't give you guys all the details yet. Some are still being ironed out. But there will be some big changes coming up next season as well. So just hold on and keep your ears tuned to the news for those. But pretty much after this week, we will be halfway done, and you'll have a pretty good picture of what teams have a shot at that big final tournament with an improved prize pool this year, of course.
Oh man, I cannot wait to talk about this. Guys, if you were paying attention, they had a dev blog about this a few days back, but we're going to talk about it anyway, of course, because it does directly pertain to the Prep Phase League. Drown Worlds has actually put up more than double what they did for season number 1 for season 2's end of season tournament. It's going to be $2,500 total, and that's going to be double what first place got last season at $1,200 for that team. And
Over $1,000 for the team. That's quite a prize pool, and it really shows you how much Atlas Reactor is growing. This week, they are at PAX demoing the game to a lot of people and getting a lot of attention. So don't forget, if you're a new person just tuning in, to give us a like or a follow, or go check out the YouTube as well. And if you have friends that are interested, now's the time to get them in with this big inrush of people. So let them know what's going on, show them the PPL stream, and get them hooked as well.
Absolutely. And speaking of prize money, second place is going to walk away with 700 big ones. Third place, 400. And like we mentioned last weekend, a little bit premature, fourth place is going to walk away with 200 smackaroonies in their pocket just for participating. So basically, out of the 6 teams, I'm assuming top 6 teams from the season are going to be in that tournament once again. We have pretty much the same number of teams coming in. We're not only 2 of them are going to miss out on prize money, so that's pretty big time.
Don't forget that this Just Shoot 'em team was 3rd place last year, and really a lot of people thought could have vied for second if they directly played as well. So this is a team that you'll be watching 2 games today, and they were 3rd place total last season. They're really a favorite to go at least into the tournament this year. this season. So big things are expected out of them, and people think it's the schedule, some growing pains, some practice, but people are definitely banking on some wins for them this week.
Yeah, definitely veterans of the game all around in the
Hello,
Juice Shooting
everyone, and
lineup.
welcome to week
So
number 3 of the Prep Phase League.
here we go.
All
So
right.
basically, yeah, Just Shoot 'em. A lot of pressure on them to really perform well. Like you said, they were the third place overall team at the end of the tournament, coming in a little bit slow this season, but of course they have a long way to go. We got plenty of action ahead of us to have them come back, and this is just the start of it. So we may see something like that this weekend where they just start that resurgence, but they've got to get through COTP first.
And now, so just so you guys are aware, if you're at home, on the league rules, new freelancers are not allowed until they've been out for a full week. So you will not see Orion this week. Continue working on your builds in secret. Bring them out next week. Not allowed to play Orion. So if you're wondering why people aren't picking or banning him, that's the absolute reason, is they're not allowed to.
Yeah, the only other time we saw this was with Blackburn, season 1. Toward the end of it, he did see some play in the tournament a little bit of season 1, but he did have to sit out for a week, just like Orion does. So we're not going to see him this weekend, just like you said. Just one of those things. Let people get comfortable with them before we actually start seeing them in competitive, and make sure there's no big time nerfs or bans going to hit him, or nerfs or buffs going to hit him in that first week of release.
All right. So, Lothens, you ready to start? Because these teams look like they're ready to roll.
I am more than ready to see this matchup. This is big time, I think. So yeah, if you want to let them know, we are ready to start the draft phase, sir. We'll
All
get right
right,
down
they
to it.
will start drafting. The home team right now is going to go ahead and choose the map. Again, if you guys want to follow along with our drafting structure, home team chooses the draft, then they switch to bands, back and forth, and then they do a pick, 2 picks, back and forth. Pretty easy structure, very competitive, leads to awesome games. Right now, we see the first map is going to be EVOS Laboratory.
Oh, my favorite. I love EVOS. It's got so many different ways. And we talked about this almost every weekend, so I don't want to harp on it too much, but so many different little spots that the fights can break out in. And bands coming out quick, so let's talk about that.
Well, nothing super surprising here in terms of specifically on EVOS, but is surprising in terms of the meta. All these favorite champions that were and freelancers that were constantly getting banned out, these high damage firepowers, especially Gray, who's very strong on this map, sometimes sneaks in there, but Lockwood as well, are skipped in favor of people who really love EVOS, those over the wall champions and buff grabbers. Celeste, you've got Gremolitions as well, again, can just hide behind all tons of walls and put out amazing damage. So very targeted on the map, but maybe not on the meta. Let's see how that works out for these two teams.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we got a couple big time picks coming in for Just Shoot 'em, the home team. Helio and Asana. Asana, by the way, the highest frequency of pick when she is not banned of any freelancer in the game right now. So everybody's picking her up. Everybody likes Asana. And of course, we have Lockwood on the COTP side right away. So very strong picks coming out right off the bat.
Yeah, Helio is the one that people have was absolutely the dominant pick ban season 1. And season 2, people have learned how to deal with it. And especially one of the big counters is giving the rest of your team unstoppable, which is something that Aurora does well. People have learned to play around it, though, by using freelancers that go ahead and apply movement effects to push people through the wall anyways when the black hole doesn't show it off, which is why I was kind of surprised to see Helio picked with Gremolitions banned, because they're a great pair if you can't do your natural combo. But Gray might just be just as good of a combination if you can get the movement off.
Yeah, I mean, such a huge map. Gray's vision is going to be key here to their success. No doubt about it. They have a lot of lockdown abilities going on with Helio and Asana, but their scouting abilities is going to be rounded out with Gray, of course. Now, Asana coming in, or Aurora coming in on the other side, COTP, to back up that Lockwood so far. I really do like that pick because she is the hard counter right now to a Helio. Surprisingly, a Blackburn pick on this huge map.
Yeah, there are a lot of individual walls, but it's pretty clear a a Blackburn, there's only a couple good spots to dash to no matter where you are. But he has other utilities throughout his map, especially since this is a longer, narrower map. That ultimate kind of really covers some distance, gets a lot of value on EVOS Laboratory, and is just fantastic overall, really, on any map. But also can throw grenades over walls, can dash and then shoot around corners. We're getting back to that mobility and that fact that this is a map where you have to be able to target a lot of different areas. You can't just stand somewhere and fire away. Speaking of stand somewhere and fire away, Nyx being picked on the other team. So if they can manage to protect him, and I think they were thinking it looks like they have the more aggressive team. A team with a Helio and an Asana wants to get that aggression and push people into the opponent's face. That naturally relieves pressure off the back line, which allows you to play a character that can't be pressured like Nyx. They also saw he's a great last pick because there are some people he has a lot of trouble with. Revealers, which Lockwood can be, but also just very aggressive in-your-face back liners. If you've got a pup on the enemy team, Nyx is hard to play. But looks like a good choice in the last pick when they saw the enemy team is going to float around the midline doing damage, but they're not going to put a lot of aggression on Nyx without suffering themselves, so he can really shine in terms of damage.
Yeah, great points all the way around, Restart. I mean, can't argue with any of that at all. I mean, as soon as they picked up Gray, you know the COTP is not going to want to pick up the Nyx, so he's pretty much a free pick at that point for just shoot him. And I know I mean, like we talked about before, these guys are veterans of Atlas Reactor. They know what they're doing with pretty much all the freelancers at this point. So not really surprising to see them pick just about anything.
So, all right, so they're going to verify this map for us, and hopefully we'll get underway soon.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised though. I was hoping to see like maybe a Rampart pickup with that new buff he got on his pole with the Pierce mod you can take. But in my experience, you don't really get those opportunities very much in the actual game. Now, I played around with him a few different times, not too much to be fair, but I didn't get that double pull too often. I think people are already starting to pick up and understand, hey, we don't really want to line ourselves up if there's a Rampart in the game anymore, because everybody's going to have that mod.
Yeah, and I kind of thought that was coming out with the Gremolition ban. I said, could this be because, of course, Gremolition does not care about Rampart unless he happens to place his ult or his big bang on the shield direction, but 90% of the time does not care about that shield. So I was hoping that maybe that was why, but they ended up with going a completely different direction. Don't blame them. You know, every time you're going to see a Gremolition's ban, you say, could this be because of Rampart? You have to ask yourself.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Gremlin ban is a little bit surprising. Celeste, on the other hand, is not surprising at all. Of course, we don't see a Rask ban in this game number 1 of week 3. He did get that big time nerf to his self healing. It's only 15 instead of 20 at most. So, you know, not very surprising there. But Celeste is one of those, out of all the firepowers for the last 2 weeks, she is the most picked of all of them. So let's get into the loading screen here to see if we have any synergy going on. Looks like, oh my, like COTP wins in the synergy round already. I'm liking it.
Yeah, I mean, show your personality or show your team spirit, one of the two, each team electing for their own options. Looks like we'll see how that works out in terms of, is that just something random they do, or is that going to reflect in their playstyles in the game? We'll see as everybody gets loaded up for our first match of week 3, getting ready for the halfway point.
Oh man, we're kicking it off, guys, and I cannot be more excited. Oh my goodness. So on COTP's side, we have the team captain, the Doctor, going to be sitting on that Aurora. Blackburn is going to be played by Olaf. Thrills is going to pick up that frontliner duty with Garrison. And, of course, the Lockwood is going to be Backuth.
And on the other side, we have Hacksaw is the captain of Just Shoot 'em. He's on our Asana Following him is Nyx, which is Anatomical, Carradine on Gray, and C4 Saber King on that Helio. As we get ready to see exactly what they're going to do this round. Generally, this is a round where you find out if they're going for the combo comp or not when you see if Saber King black holes the Asana and then she runs in for the dash, or if they're going to try to get better positions, set up a wall, and just use their abilities more as synergistic instead of combinations.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what they want to do. I mean, it looks like both teams are kind of playing it safe to start off with here, but man, I'm really liking the control that they're showing. Only Hacksaw going out for just shoot him.
And this is what you're seeing. The team with the Helio and the Asana wants to be the aggressive team and wants to set up in front, get the vision. They have the longer range fire powers, so if they have somebody in front to give vision, they can shoot from nowhere in the back line. And Helio is great at protecting large amounts of damage with his shield, whereas the Asana team and the mid-range fire powers want to sit back and receive the opponents.
Yeah, there goes that Retribution shield, and another shield coming in from C4 onto Hacksaw's Asana. Back is expecting a dash here, throwing a trap right next to himself. Another Nyx trap laid down, so he's got that repeating mod there. Ray Drone coming out, turn number 3, held on to a turn 2, of course.
Don't worry,
Frills loves that double taunt on Garrison, I do know that for sure. Throwing down that, I brought enough for everybody, and he's punching behind himself, so they definitely expected Hacksaw to be flying in this turn, but of course did not, just playing it safe so far.
Not enough people could get shots on Hacksaw where they are, that Hacksaw didn't feel pressure to waste that big cooldown to get into the middle of the enemy team, especially with traps coming out. You've got a Lockwood on the enemy team. It just doesn't make good sense to leave a safe spot to try and go out in the open to maybe outplay your enemies or maybe get crushed. You want to do that when you're avoiding a lot of damage.
Absolutely. Another shield coming out, so unless C4 uses brain juice here, which I don't even know if he took or not, which Helios usually do, he's going to have a couple of turns where he cannot shield anybody coming up. That drone does some work back. It's taking a little bit of damage from the Nyx on the far end. And there's the Pierce root mod for the Asana, blocking down the Blackburn and the Garrison.
Don't worry, I brought enough for everyone.
Here comes the rockets from Thrills. Only going to hit Hacksaw, but he did get shielded up.
Rearrange your
Going to take a little bit of damage. That shield is already gone. There's the big punch from Garrison. Hacksaw closing it on half health, but so is Thrills on Garrison. Oh, that's going to take him below. And he gets back a little bit.
And Hacksaw rightly knew they were going to take a lot of damage this turn. Let's go to a little bit safer spot. But they've really forced the enemy team on the defensive here. They've forced COTP back into a corner and grouped up, and that's a spot you never want to be in. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like JSE's in a good spot to take advantage of it this turn, but it'll be a nice setup for the future turns.
Yeah, Hacksaw anticipating some more damage. Anatomical finally going to go invisible on that Nyx. Here comes a black hole out, so they're anticipating maybe turn number 6 doing some big time action. Thrills jumping in but missing completely. Thought he might find a gray back there, but he does dodge the damage that way. And Hacksaw taking a little bit. That Turtle Tech doing its work there. Only 4 damage getting through. And a lot of whiffs coming out thanks to the Garrison jump. But of course he didn't quite catch anybody.
Yeah, he didn't catch anybody for damage, and he's pretty out of position now. Does have that every other turn shot, so never too out of position unless that's down. But he did avoid a lot of damage coming in, and that's one of the fire powers being way back, is that you never know where they are, you never know where they're shooting, so you kind of have to guess when the damage is coming in. But this is when Asana's dangerous, with the black hole and where she can dash around and go onto enemy member, and you have to guess who's she targeting this turn.
Yeah, and there's another shield, so C4 had those 2 turns to regenerate that shield, and a trap now trying to catch back is getting out of here. And he does leave, but he goes away from the trap. Hacksaw going through there. He's going to catch 3 members now with that black hole, thanks to back is dashing that direction as well. Brill's doing his best with his 1 ranged ability, but there's that triple black hole there. A lot of energy going up to C4 Saber King on that Helio just from that.
And what excellent positioning from Hacksaw. Rightly realized one person next to him with an open dash might get away, but Asana is not going to waste her catalyst if you're not near her so you can pretty usually target her, and not only that, but able to catch Olaf in that as well. Just a fan that sets up the other enemy team so close they have to get out of this or take massive damage.
I would think that if COTP is paying attention, they understand it's a 4v2 right now. They may not have exact vision of Helio and Nyx, but if they can't see them, they have to understand they're not here. So it's a 2v4 right now. Hacksaw doing his best to hang in there, but that Retribution Shield isn't going to last forever. Kieran doing a one-on-one with Thrills, but he is weakened thanks to that Aurora, and it's looking pretty grim for Hacksaw and Kieran right now.
Yeah, Kieran has plenty of health and only 2 people that can really target them this turn, so might go for this ultimate, whereas Hacksaw, I don't know if they're going to take the death here. Might try and Catalyst out and help the team later because C4 Saber King and Anatomical have showed up. They're here to help. They rightly knew the enemy team was going to stay in this spot, and they're going to do... This is advantage JSE at this point.
Olaf looks like he's looking to lay down the damage. Backeth expecting some damage, laying down the Turtle Tech. So does the Doctor, the team captain for COTP. Thrills priming those rockets again, and Hacksaw decides Catalysting away is his best option right now. That Turtle Tech nullifying all of Helio's damage so far. The Anatomical coming in, breaking the shield a little bit with a might AoE shot from Nyx. And of course the Kata Dash from Hacksaw avoiding all that damage. Kieran throwing down the Grail right on top of himself and catching 2 members of COTP within, Thrills and the Doctor, and they're both going to walk through the wall. Excellent placement.
That was a great turn. Saber King now has ultimate, so Hacksaw's not in trouble, but they have their ultimate as well. Hacksaw saved themselves from a lot of damage. They were in the middle of the enemy team with low health, but not super low health, so it was worth it to dash out. They got their ultimate this turn. Just excellent timing on all these abilities to engage right when all the ultimates are going to...
Just what you'd expect from some Season 1 veterans. Hacksaw going to ultimate in right on top of Thrills' head, shielding up Keratin over there in the wings. But here comes the big-time ultimate. Oh, it's going on Hacksaw as well, so the Helio ult plus the Asana ultimate going to do major work to Thrills on Garrison. He may actually go down here if my calculation is correct. Big shot coming in on Aurora from the Nyx all the way on the other side of the map. Ironclad gonna miss, of course, because of that ultimate out, and oh, it's not gonna be enough. 6 HP remaining, but oh man. If the Retribution Shield was there, he would have killed himself with those rockets. Throws down a punch on the Keratin as Thrills, and he's trying to get out of dodge, but he doesn't get too far.
So while Helio's shield didn't block any damage there, they didn't use it to block damage. They used it to not only do additional damage to Thrills, who is now in a lot of trouble and has to either waste a catalyst or die, but that shield lasts for a couple turns, so Hacksaw can continue to be aggressive on low health because of that shield that they got last turn without fearing accidental damage.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, a heal coming out for Thrills and a Kata Dash as well. Sometimes you might say that's a little bit of a waste, but he was so low HP, that almost had to happen, or the next turn he was going to be dead for sure. A little bit of AoE damage coming out from the rockets and the grenade from the Olaf's Blackburn, but still getting that damage is Hacksaw from that Helio ultimate. Is the Doctor going to go down here? He does. And there's the Echo Hammer taunt from C4 Saber King, finishing the job on the Doctor. 3 members going in to finish off that Aurora.
Excellent focus from JSE. They put their frontliner in front, exactly how they should be, with a giant Helio ulti, and these shields continue to go, so they know that they'll be safe and they can put them out there. Meanwhile, all the backliners focused on the support, who was caught out a little bit too far as COTP separated instead of staying close and in the same area where they could hit people but not all be hit at once.
I can't be stopped.
Yeah, and it looks like a lot of shields going to be dropping down. We're getting into the thick of it, about halfway through the match here. Anatomical, Olaf, and Hacksaw all getting a shield from some way or another. Trap coming out from Nyx and the Helio, but Thrills decides he's going in on the Nyx. Hacksaw getting that retribution damage down, still has that Helio ultimate as well, so takes no damage from 2 different firepowers combined that turn. Lots and lots of shields coming in there to protect that frontliner, and the drone doing a little bit of damage. Rio getting in there, having some fun.
Mortality holds no sway on
And I
me.
really like this move from Hacksaw backing off. A lot of frontliners would have continued there, but Hacksaw doesn't have health to do that. Would have been caught between multiple decent health firepowers and ultimately would have went down. Instead, and that's kind of what happened to Thrill, so they were able to back off. It cost them some of their teammates. Instead, JSC is regrouping, getting ready to fight again, getting a little bit more health, and they're going to come right back.
Wow, what an amazing play by Thrills there. He knew he was going to take probably critical damage, so he ulted himself with the Garrison. The Nyx ult killed him, but the Garrison ult on top of his own self gave him just enough to live with 25 HP.
And not only that, he's not in a position to be shot this turn, and now it's Nyx who's fighting for his life, trying to survive, as multiple members have ultimates, have long-range shots, might be able to kill him, so he just has to trust that he's going to live through this turn. Saber King not in a position to support him.
Now you see.
Yeah, not unless he has through walls, but you see, Helio does not have one of those little globes floating around his torso there, so he does not have a shield ready, even if he did have the through walls mod. The Doctor trying to keep back at the live a little bit, not very much going on, so Nyx does survive and gets away to the corner invisible this turn. Gonna live to fight another turn, at least.
We'll see, or maybe will Olaf catch them, as you know he's going to be going for that. Has to. Nyx at low health will be found near a open health globe somewhere on the map, far away from the enemy team. But the story is the rest of the JSC closing up behind, again on the Doctor, who's the only person close to the rest of JSC.
Shield incoming.
And the Doctor choosing, of course, to heal up that frontliner. Thrills, loving that on the Garrison. A shield and a black hole getting thrown down onto Hacksaw. He is in cover, not in cover, but he's in the camouflage node, and the Doctor is going to get rooted in place there. Rio's going to come out there. My dogs are going crazy, so I apologize for that, but not much I can do. They see somebody outside, they just lose it.
But Hacksaw's now in an excellent position, and there's... Doctor has a Cata Dash, but is at high health. This is what you want to force them to do. Use their catalyst at high health or take the damage. And it's a lose-lose situation. It's a great thing to force your opponents into, but they're surrounded by Olaf, by Thrills, by Baketh. Will they be able to actually do more damage than they take this turn?
Something for everyone.
It'd be more impressive if it wasn't.
All right, these guys look like they're going in here. Anatomical laying down a trap, but nobody's really there except Olaf. Hacksaw dashing through with that black hole on him, getting near Baketh. With the ultimate from the Doctor coming out, going to try to keep his team alive. Olaf's ultimate going to come down, catch only one person, but it is for 50 damage. Massive damage there for him. And a little bit of C4 Saber King Helio damage coming down with that Echo Hammer. Not a lot to write home about, and some cover bonus onto Olaf from the Gray. Hacksaw getting Baketh on Lockwood. He does have his ult ready. He's not going to be in too much trouble next turn.
And a lot of people might not be happy with the cover damage, but the fact that you hit somebody at all brings the ultimates back up for Saber King and Carradine, who have been energy machines this game, whereas the ults have been held a little longer on the other side, used in very good positions. Baketh still has theirs as well. They're back up for round 2 for both Saber King and Carradine, and Anatomical has healed up and is almost ready to come back in with a might buff next turn.
Yeah, Saber King throwing down that turtle tech on himself. Hacksaw getting weakened and slowed, but you would expect his ult going on somebody else since he used turtle tech on himself. There it is on the Hacksaw again. So the frontline are going to have a really good time. And the Retribution Shield is going to be having some fun there as well. The Doctor taking massive damage from the basic attack of Hacksaw and the Helio ultimate. Rockets coming out, going to get Retribution back to Thrills. He is going to just barely break through that shield finally with the rockets and the punch. And there's Carradine's ult again, catching the same two individuals. Are they going to run through it again, or did they learn from their mistake? There's the Blackburn second wave coming through. Carradine taking a little bit of AoE damage from Olaf. Do they go? Do they not? No, they learn from their mistake.
4 turns remaining.
Yeah, they were caught out last time because there were other good targets, and it was such an early ultimate. Gray might have done something else. This time it was pretty obvious that they were going to be caught there and that it was going to be used to disengage. It still serves its purpose. It keeps Thrills and the Doctor away from Saber King and from Carradine and from Anatomical. It groups them up for damage, but they won't be hit with the little extra bit due to really some good reading of the game state and not moving that turn.
Carradine on Gray getting a ton of shields, one from Helio, another from an Asana
Defensive
ultimate coming
matrix
in, Anatomical dropping out another Nyx trap. They haven't been seeming to do that much work, but he keeps throwing them out anyway. Thrills jumping on the C4 Saber King back there. He is tired of that Helio being alive. Aurora going to help him out a little bit. Those rockets, 2-turn rocket mod, going to throw down 10 additional plus the jump damage there onto the Helio. But the Doctor is in serious trouble there, stuck in that Gray ultimate, cannot get out. And man, that Helio ultimate has been doing work all game long, seems like. I mean, it's only a few turns and it comes right back.
I mean, when does it not do work? Such a good shielding and decent damage in an AoE package. But we did see that Beckett got hit by that shot, the Nyx drone last turn. And what that means is that they're within death from either a single shot by Carradine or Anatomical. Now, they have their dash and their ultimate up, but I'd be very surprised to see them stay still this turn.
All right, the Doctor going to heal himself up this time on that Aurora. Turtle Tech coming out of Carradine, held it for 17 turns now. Anatomical doing that repeating thing, so Beckett, oh, going to kill himself trying to catch that Nyx. Doesn't even get the damage down. Just goes through the trap and unfortunately uses that ult and dies. So really bad play there on his part. Didn't know exactly where Nyx was, but you know, man, if you're not sure, don't use that big ult.
2 turns remaining.
Well, that's also part of the mods taken too. So Anatomical has the drone network for the second charge. We've seen that earlier, and the enemy team knows he has. But it means that you always have that up, so you can always trap, and dashes are always dangerous, especially when you can't see Nyx and don't remember, does he have a second charge or not? When it's so hard to keep track of that mod that sometimes you just have to go for it. But Nyx wisely predicted he can't stay still, he has to dash. Let's put a trap out, see what we get, and gets the kill.
Olaf on Blackburn doing a bit of damage to Hacksaw and healing himself for 10. That is going to keep him alive barely from the collective efforts of Hacksaw and Carradine there. He's 5 HP there. Let's see what they can do to try to keep him alive. It is turn 20, and just shoot him up 2-0.
And not only that, but a lot of COTP is far enough back where they can't focus a lot of damage. They can each individually hit 1, maybe 2 people, but there's just no way they're going to get 2 to 3 kills here, especially when Olaf's basically guaranteed to go down. Yeah, I don't see a way back from this. Maybe a body block from a shot onto Olaf, but there's no way anybody can heal him. And Hacksaw doesn't care about that.
Yeah, Hacksaw is just going to go in, finish off Olaf, do a little bit of damage to the Doctor with that dash. Olaf's going to try to guess where he's going to go, but doesn't quite get it right. Man, a lot of whips coming in here. I guess they were just trying to guess as best they possibly could. That 8 HP on the Iron Cloud healing on friendly targets is not going to be enough. Carradine using that brain juice turn 20. Wow, he held onto those catalysts forever. That's going to be just shoot have taken it 3-0 in game number 1.
That's always a good feeling when you don't have to use your catalyst most all the game. And a very well played game by JSE, showing us why they were in the tournament last year. COTP, you had some solid performance. You had some good moves, especially the predict on the Gray ultimate. But ultimately, JSE had control from the start. They played their game plan. Firepower's in the back where you can't see them. Scouting, tanky, shielded people up in the front. Herd the enemy team together. Do damage to split them apart and pick out the support. And then from there, the game was just mechanics after that. They really executed very strongly in the beginning to give themselves a big advantage in the later game.
Yeah, and looking at some of these numbers, man, it just didn't add up for COTP. Nobody breaking 300 damage, almost for Olaf, but man, 428 for the frontliner Hacksaw, 488 for Carradine on the firepower there. Ray and Asana doing work for their team, definitely. Just showing why they won that game by the numbers, basically.
And I really like a lot of the performances on this one. I mean, there was a lot of support from Helio. There was a lot of damage from the firepowers without taking deaths themselves. I especially like Carradine and Hacksaw's performances by the fact that they had a lot of pressure put on them, and they were able to escape taking too much damage. Carradine had the frontliner on top of them for a small chunk of the game and was able to disengage, but Hacksaw was constantly in the middle of the enemy team, still managed to escape with no death, and I think that takes a special mention. Picked very good dashes, very good turns to shield, and very good turns to stay, and that's wasn't doing a follow move too often, but was picking good spots. I think that Hacksaw definitely deserves special mention that game.
Yeah, I mean, two ults from Asana rather quickly. I mean, what was it? Turn 15, 16. He had number 2 going on there. So an excellent job there by Hacksaw and company. So just shoot him, putting on a nice performance for game number 1. Let's see if COTP can actually bring it back and get their issues resolved there.
Yeah,
They didn't really have too many,
COTP's
really.
they're not really out of it. They had that slight I'm going to call it a mistake in strategy, not in tactics. Every turn they were playing well, but they allowed themselves to get forced apart to where their support was in the front and targetable by the rest of the enemy team. And with an Asana, you can't have that happen. But they didn't have a choice because of how things were set up a couple turns ahead. So you've got to change your play so that that doesn't happen. Multiple times we saw the closest person to the enemy team was the support because everybody was either chasing or escaping damage on low health. And they need to rethink to get away for that support to stay safe so they can continue healing and to play their game plan. In that case, it was mid-range firepower, decent damage, somewhat tanky. The other team was able to just overpower due to positioning and due to the abilities used and split them apart. So strategy. Your tactics were solid. Your pick ban wasn't awful. Just make sure the other team can't execute that game plan.
Yeah, I mean, they just kind of got outplayed round after round. It's like you said, it wasn't anything that they were actually doing wrong. And, you know, you can't really pick out and say, well, they did this super bad, they did this super bad. It was just, you know, one round after another cumulatively got into Just Shoot 'Em's favor, it seemed like, and they just didn't have an opportunity to turn it around at the end there.
So let's see if they can take a game here and really pick up their score a little bit. I think that would almost double their score at this point if they were able to take even one game at this point. And man, that would feel real good going in the rest of this week, picking up a game against a strong and storied team like JSE. But JSE's out to prove that last season wasn't a fluke, especially after these first 2 weeks. And some of their contemporaries already have a lot of points already. JSE's looking to make that up. And could this be the week where they shoot forward with a double sweep? We'll see as they go into game 2 pretty shortly. We're almost ready for these pick bans.
Yeah. And
now, what do you think?
I was going to say, Just Shoot 'Em definitely need that sweep. At least one of the 2 rounds that they play in this weekend, they need those 3-point rounds, man. They got to get them to catch up with those guys that are starting to run away with it a little bit. But what were you going to say, sir?
Oh, I was going to say, so the adjustments they have to make, considering it's strategy-wise, do you go with a different composition here? Or do you just trust your team to make different shot calls and play? Because we said it wasn't the specific actions. They avoided a lot of damage. They had cover a lot of the time. It wasn't specific misplays. So I don't know if you want to adjust that much, but you could go for a completely different pick ban phase, really shake the enemy team off their game.
I'm not actually sure. I mean, they had a solid draft. Both teams did. And there wasn't a real clear winner of the draft phase, in my opinion. Of course, you may correct me if I'm wrong, definitely, but I didn't see a huge advantage from one side to the other. I just think it came down, like I said, to round after round, cumulatively, they fell behind just a little bit at a time and didn't have any opportunities to come back and Just Shoot 'Em. They played rather well, so they didn't give them any openings.
Alrighty, so let's see as we're just waiting for the teams to get back, finish their post-game discussions, and get back into game for what should be an exciting round 2. Now, guys, don't forget as well, when these are over, you can watch any of these videos. They'll be saved on Twitch as well as our YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe to that channel as well so you can catch all of the great games going back. Remember, we have an increased prize pool this year. We've got a massive tournament that a lot of people are going to be tuning in to watch. So make sure that when you find your favorite team, or if you already have one, watch all their games and get to know their strategies and root them on through the coming season. But it looks like both teams are ready, so we're going to tell them to go.
All right, just a reminder, guys, over on the YouTube channel, we are streaming live as well. That's going to be Septimus with Pepper Titan. And right now, their round one is going to be Outplayed versus Play for Fun. So if you like those teams, check them out. Give them some love over on the YouTube side of things, definitely. I'm going to switch over to
We'll
the pick band here in just a moment.
we'll be seeing Play for Fun soon, but right now we're going to be seeing round 2 of Just Shoot 'Em versus COTP as they go into map selection.
Yeah, it looks like Flyway Freighter this time, so the longer maps getting some love here in round number 1 for us at least. And man, who do you ban at this point? I don't think the Grimo really helped him at all. the last time around, I mean, he's really strong in the big maps, but when he lost the Weakened Minds mod, if I do recall, in this last match, so he's not really as strong as he was before, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think there was a specific freelancer that really caused them all the problems. So what they really have to ban is what does well against the strategy they want to play. And the question is, are they bringing the same thing or not? Just Shoot 'Em goes ahead and bans away Gray, says if we can't have her, then nobody will. So now it's COTP's ban to go. COTP is the home team for this match, or did pick Flyway Freighter. So they want to do away with all that hurting people in the corners, getting rid of all the walls, and they want these areas where they can spread out and still do damage. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of champions that can do well over longer range. Maybe you might see a Zuki, although I somewhat doubt it. A little less, I think a little bit less of a pick than she used to be right now, especially after the balance patches. But I'd be very surprised to not see a Nyx, especially after the Gray ban. I mean, Lockwood's a perennial favorite here. But definitely people with range. Celeste, Blackburn, all great targets.
And you named it right there, Celeste, a really good first pick for Just Shoot 'Em. She is, again, like I said, the very most picked when not banned freelancer out of the firepower pool, at least. I am rather surprised to see that that Grimolition's ban again from Steel TP, but I mean, Caradon, we know, is a big time Grimo player, and these bigger maps, of course, are Grimo's playground. So, I mean, kind of surprising, kind of not at the same time. It's kind of strange to try to describe, but two very strong firepowers. All the firepowers getting 11 in the round number 1 of the draft phase. Lockwood and Nyx being picked up on the other side.
Very long range, very good firepowers. Now that is both their firepowers early, unless they want to go firepower comp. So that leaves Just Shoot 'Em free to steal support or frontliner or whatever they want away at this point. They are going to go for that Helio, and this just proves that Gremolition ban is actually very solid. If Just Shoot 'Em wants to play Helio, Just Shoot 'Em, if you're going to target ban them, they were known for some very good Gremo play previously, especially in combination with Helio. So that's taking away some of their, certain teams are known for combos. You had Trash playing that Finn Gray combo, and you have Just Shoot 'Em that loves Gremo and Helio. So only giving them half of that really limits their favorites and forces them into other stuff. But again, so many people can play so many different freelancers now.
Yeah, especially the guys that have been around for so long. But I love this pickup from COTP, the Asana being taken away from Hacksaw. Now he's got to make a decision here. Do I want to go with Titus? Do I want to go with Rask, Garrison? Maybe that Rampart with the new Pierce mod on his grab. I mean, he's got to play second fiddle, but there's Azuki. Surprisingly, like you said, she did get a little nerf on her balance to her energy gain on her primary attack. So, man.
Yeah. They had to go with Rasker Titus. Garrison is solid on a lot of maps, but on the long range map like Flyway Freighter, he just doesn't have that straight long dash to be able to hit multiple people in a row, to get away at the right times, and to be able to hit people close to him while still leaving, because there is such open line of sight. He has to jump on one person. So I like the Rask pick a lot. I definitely think Zuki is strong on this map. Can he hit from so far away? There's a huge chance of getting multiple ultimates. I hope that they pick a strong ultimate on this one, because the through walls, while it might pick out an extra person, you might not need it as much on this one. But now's the all-important part of what mods do you take versus the opponent's team. That's really coming down to a huge part of the game. Not only the pick bans, but the mods to counter the map and the other players.
Yeah, I just want to point out, because it is kind of hard to see with our cameras here, the last pick for CLTP was Dr. Finn. So that's going to round out their lineup there. I'm mean, one of the most popular picks. He did get a little bit of a nerf as well in the last balance change patch last Tuesday. That was his double bubble is now gone. Cannot take that mod anymore, so it's only a single bubble. But he did get a little bit of extra damage on his primary. So the joke was, Dr. Finn is now a firepower freelancer. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they want to actually play that freelancer now.
All right, so every team getting set up here. We'll be starting again in just a minute. Let's see. All right, so this will be interesting these first few turns to see how both teams want to do it, because they both have these very aggressive frontliners, but COTP has a lot of traps, and that might go in their favor in this map. Well, you can set down a Celeste trap, the ability to limit movement with the Nyx trap, with the Lockwood trap, to get rid of a lot of these dashes. Really, Zuki's the only one who can jump up and over traps in this entire game. That might give COTP a little bit of position advantage, and I like that early on. However, they can't trap out the Might because Celeste is on the opponent team. So if you're going to go with a trap comp, you always have to consider Celeste.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, Celeste is going to be there. She's going to play that little mini game. Carrot is going to be playing Celeste. So to just kind of break it down for you guys, it's going to be Carradin on Celeste, Anatomical on Zuki, Hacksaw on Rask, of course, he's a frontline player, and C4 Saber King on Helio once again for Just Shoot 'Em. And on the other side, the Doctor is going to be playing that Asana, Backeth on Nyx. Dr. Finn's going to be controlled by Thrill, so he's switching out from that front line to a support, and Olaf going to pick up that Lockwood. So, I mean, not really any advantage in lineup, in my opinion. Again, they're really solid drafts from both teams.
Absolutely. I like the range COTP pulled out of this. I like the trap composition, although Celeste pulling buffs on this map, which has more buffs because of how wide it is a big advantage. If they could have either limited Celeste off the other team or picked her up themselves, I'd say they have the stronger team. But Celeste is such a big swing when you have a strong rest of your team. I don't know if I can give it to them now anymore.
Oh, there we go. I thought the game was going to poop out on me there for a second, but we are in it, so we're going to see what's going on here. And, man, this map, everybody kind of seems to just go to a corner, and it's just a 50-50 shot if they run into each other, basically, early on in the match.
Yeah, there are some things the teams can key off of, especially if there are Gremlins, which were banned out, or if there are trap-based compositions. Again, feeding into that Gremlins, they generally love the side of the map with the tunnel on it, which we're seeing now. Olaf and Backeth both going towards that, whereas the other team knows that that's what's going to happen. They want a slightly more open side of the map because they have some AoEs to use, so they're going to circle around the bottom and hope to get favorable side for them.
Yeah, early on, energy gain from Krills using that three-person heal. I'm not really sure I agree with that, but a lot of people do that, definitely. Get that early energy spike from Dr. Finn. And the frontliner is just going out there, man. Hacksaw going deep, as is the Doctor.
So now the teams start to see where each other are at this point. You've got some last known indicators on both sides, but no direct line of sight. But you can take some shots, take some guesses. They both know that the rest of the team is going to come from roughly where their frontliner is, unless they're doing a one split, which seems unlikely with these compositions. So teams will position and jockey for people coming up from behind where their frontliner was at this point.
This'll wet your whistle.
Krill's going out with that basic, not finding anybody. Hacksaw behind the wall there, so I guess they were anticipating a little bit of a dash from him. Nothing going on as far as dashes go. Some traps, some smoke bombs coming out of Carrot and Celeste. Nothing else really happening, just some repositioning there and regrouping, looks like, for both teams.
Yeah, the Doctor knows that Celeste trap is free and she wants to throw that out as soon as possible. So they're always going to place it to where you think they're going to go. So going backwards almost always stymies that. And since they do have a ranged ability and a dash, still able to engage on whoever they want to this turn, we'll see which type of ability they pick to use.
And shield going down on the Hacksaw, anticipating damage from round number 4. Grab coming out of the Knicks player back there, Backeth, and the black hole with the unstoppable mod thrown down from C4 Saber King onto his frontliner Hacksaw. Big one coming out into that corner from the Zuki, and a little bit of basic attack damage from the Dr. Finn. Not doing too much there when it's all spread out. A lot of damage coming down onto the Doctor, though, from the Celeste. Big time, mightied up damage, and Zuki's going to get it on the fun as well. The Doctor is having a bad time, and they get thrown into the Zuki big one. They've got to get out of there, or they're going to be in even more trouble next turn.
That's a great combo by JSE and a bit of a mistake. Even if you're a frontliner, the Doctor didn't want to end out in the open if they weren't going to dash that turn. You just don't want to take that damage. Hacksaw was positioned well behind cover to not take damage, had some shielding, and was able to throw people in combination with the Zuki, so they have to use their skills to get out. And Hacksaw can still predict it with a dash and get them with a black hole. It's a no-win situation.
Yeah, Thrill's going to be throwing down that unstoppable mod bubble. So again, no double bubble, but uses the unstoppable. The Doctor's going to dash, though, as does Hacksaw. So he's only going to catch that Nyx over there with that black hole. And Thrills is going to eat that 35 damage from the Zuki Big One Bomb.
I think and he might have line of sight to Olaf as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The black hole's going to catch Olaf also. So two members there are going to go back in the corner. Going to have a little bit of fun playing with a Rask, the Rage Cat.
You know, Thrill's just electing to stay there, take the damage, have a solid position. Doctor actually dashing towards Hacksaw, knowing a Rask with a dash up will be diving towards some members of the enemy team. But now the Doctor's out in the middle of the enemy team, and yes, they have the shield, but does the enemy team just blast them anyways and say, I know you've got the shield, I know we'll take damage, we're at full health? I think they take the shot.
Yeah, usually that seems to be the best option. You know, she doesn't really have that huge of a shield. So the Doctor getting that retribution down. Some heals coming out of Thrills, going on to the Celeste, and Hacksaw's going to go over there and start beating on the back line of COTP there. But he is going to take a lot of damage in return. There's that retribution going on onto C4 Saber King. Didn't quite break the shield.
Kieran had actually elected to hit somebody in cover instead, so I dealt less damage but avoided the damage in. But that meant they weren't able to focus damage to break that shield, so Saber King gained a little bit of energy but lost life for dealing no damage. But now there's a lot of dashes coming out from Keratin, Anatomical, and C4 Saber King, or dashes possible, but there's not a lot of damage coming in, so they might elect to stay and deal damage versus just the support and tank from the enemy team, surrounded by two strong AoE firepowers and a support.
Yeah, Thrills is in a lot of trouble here. He has no cover bonus to help him out, but he does have that heal, so he's going to heal up the Doctor and himself a little bit there. But man, is that a really unfortunate position to be in at this point for a support with no innate escape abilities built into their kit. There's the trap and the smoke bombs coming out of Keratin. The Eel's going to jump over to Anatomical Zuki, but man, here comes the damage onto Thrills. Hacksaw's going to be beat on here. He's going to get close to death, but he is chasing down that Nyx. Maybe a mistake. The two backliners focusing that Rask down. He can't keep himself alive as well as he used to.
Well, he does have some safe spots to dash here, though, because Backeth can't cut him off from dashing straight. So this trap composition can't reach every position. Now, they might be better boxing him in a trap on either side than going all in one direction, because a trap either way would kill him at his current health. He does have some healing going up, but missing would be awful at this point. But on the other side, Anatomical is in a great position with the black hole on top of him to really put the hurt onto Finn.
Yeah, Hacksaw trying to survive with that turtle tech makes me think he's probably not going to dash this turn, but Zuki is. Anatomical gets out of there, taking the Eels with her. Thrill's taking that jump damage, taking that straight up damage from Keratin and Celeste as well. Anatomical has the black hole, catches two members, and Backeth also getting thrown by Hacksaw. The Hacksaw didn't even get attacked that turn, looks like.
So Hacksaw actually managed to stay alive and quite healthy, even with some shield left up. And with the throws and the black hole they worked out between Anatomical, didn't want to focus down Finn because they could group up a lot of the enemy team. You saw here they put both the Doctor and Olaf side by side where they can get a lot of damage out. even Beckett, they know exactly where he is because of these knockbacks they coordinated all on the same turn.
Yeah, very well done there by the Just Shoot 'em team. And here comes a lot of shields coming out.
Wall of pain.
C4 Saber King taunting that Helio wall, gonna block off their exit.
Deploying
Hacksaw does do a little bit of a dash. He's going off to the side, avoids the trap that was sitting over there. Here comes a big Celeste ultimate from Caradon. Anatomical almost being able to finish off the Doctor there, and Olaf gonna get rooted into place in response. But not a lot of retribution coming down for that damage that they took. Hacksaw gonna stand there and ult, and Beckett runs right through that Rask ultimate anyway.
Yeah, Hacksaw knew that they might be focused, didn't want to die, so dashed out. There was a trap there, so they didn't want to go any further, but had the ultimate as well because Nyx can't walk into the fight here, especially with Anatomical having an ultimate. So they knew exactly which direction Nyx was going to go, and he could cover all of it, and now he's right next to him. Very smart planning by this JSE team.
Of course, with that Rask ultimate, Hacksaw gets all his cooldowns reset, going to heal himself back up again, 15 per turn for 2 turns. The Doctor going to be dashing out of danger there, almost dead himself. They tried to predict that, but not getting it done. Anatomical shooting where he used to be, everybody else trying to predict. Hacksaw going to try a throw, but looks like Bacchus did Catadash out of there.
Yeah, Beckett knew he was just plain really dead, or would have had to Catalyst next turn anyway, so decided to get it out of the way, is stealth this turn, and now Hax has to guess which cover he went into. Did he have the other Catalyst? So unfortunately is caught in a Zuki big one as well. Didn't work out as well as they wanted it to.
Go on, I dare you.
On the other side, you've got a 2v1, a full health Celeste versus 2 pretty low HP members of Just Shoot, or members of COTP. Thrills and the Doctor. The Doctor going to try to body block for Thrills. Looks like with that Retribution shield on is going to be successful, but takes a ton of damage for it. And everybody else just kind of standing around, not really in the best position to do anything except perhaps Anatomical, but tries to shoot that Lockwood, but he did dash out of the way, and the second wind coming out trying to stay alive is Beckett on that Nyx.
I would have loved that play, the flash in front of Thrills, if Thrills' bubble or heal is coming up this turn. But now the Doctor has no Catalyst and is directly in front of the enemy team and just takes a death here, really. There's no escaping it. A lot of different abilities from Caradon could kill them.
Breaking you to 11.
Yeah, C4 Saber King on that Helio gets his ultimate. Looks like is that the second time he's had his ultimate this game? Olaf gonna ultimate him perhaps, but the dash alone from Caradon and Celeste gonna finish off the Doctor there on the Asana. And oh man, the dash killed himself from Olaf on the Lockwood.
Unfortunately, with a lot of AoEs on the enemy team, you have to be aware of that. With just the range they can cover on a lot of different abilities, especially that ultimate. It looks like they were dashing to try and get out of Zuki. Still has this ultimate, and the threat of it is really influencing where the enemy team can go. They can't stand out in the open. They can't expose themselves from multiple directions, and it's really messing with them at this point.
Oh, here comes an ultimate from Beckett, hitting 2 members, Hacksaw and Anatomical, so 50 damage a pop there. Very nicely done. But here comes a Celeste trap set up the turn before. Thrills is going to take that, do a little retribution damage, but he's going to be down to 2 HP after the end of this match, after this round. My goodness. Thanks to the trap and the basic attack from Caradon.
Well, you just hope he has the Healy mod, and he does on his ultimate in this situation. Might be enough to keep him alive, although 20 health goes to 23. Most basic attacks can burn through that extremely quickly, but at least might be able to do some damage himself this turn. Zuki way out of the fight in the back.
Yeah, trying to stay safe, but that's kind of biting her in the backside here. Anatomical able to get that basic attack barely off onto Beckett. Hacksaw helping out a little bit there, taking some damage in return, but Thrills is gonna go down. Does he opt to use his ultimate in his dying breath here? Looks like Beckett is going to go down as well thanks to the smoke bombs from Celeste. Does use the ultimate, does Thrills is on Finn, catching 2 members, putting them out into the open, but is it going to be useful this turn.
I think that Anatomical is being way too careful here, staying so far back. Either run for the health or go into the front. But right now they can only hit this full health Olaf, although Olaf ran out into cover. And this has been a problem with a lot of COTP. They take positions where they can get good hits, but they're not using enough cover to mitigate the damage, and it's showing in a big 3-0 lead with just a lot of damage coming in.
Yeah, definitely. Anatomical gonna ult the one member he can see, Olaf over there in the corner. By the by, the Doctor's gonna be flying here, trying to keep back at the live with that Asana ult. Here it comes, the taunted Asana ult flying in. Hacksaw getting out of there, anticipated that happening, or perhaps just the next basic happening. Both would have killed him. And there's the Zuki ultimate, 54 damage going down on Olaf. And, oh man, he is in range though to hit Keratin, but there's the big time ultimate. Oh, taking out the Nixon, almost taking out Olaf. It's the combination of Zuki and Celeste ults that turn.
5 turns remaining.
Wow.
And now he's got a tough choice of if he dashes or not. I don't know if they can't see Keratin so well. They should know smoke bombs are down. Did they keep track of that information? Or does he have to dash or get a bubble, even though nobody can hit him this turn if they didn't keep track of information well enough?
Look at you bubbling away.
Looks like the unstoppable bubble is going to come out of Dr. Finn anyway. And Keratin's going to catalyst dash away, trying to stay alive one more turn. The Doctor is going to root C4 Saber King's Helio in place. A little retribution damage coming back his way as well. And that's going to be Hacksaw being taken out by Olaf. The bubble a little bit wasted, like you said. Nobody could hit him, but they weren't really sure there.
They wanted to keep him alive without. You can't blame it, although at this point you need every advantage possible, so you need to play a little bit riskier. You have 3 turns left to get 3 kills just for the tie, and you have a low health member. So you really need to start picking up some kills extremely quickly, which GSE may be able to capitalize on the riskiness that just has to come out of COTP for these final turns.
And Zuki getting out of there, the Doctor dashing onto nothing basically because of that. Keratin picking up 2 health globes with that basic attack there. So nicely done with that. Everybody just kind of moving around the map, trying to get a good position to finish this game off.
All right, so now you've got to really decide where you want to end up for your final. You have to position yourself CTP so you can get a hit. You need to hit multiple people next turn. They're all pretty healthy. This needs to be aggro. This is the point where you might not care about cover and you might be free to run forward.
Yeah, no doubt. You just have to start rushing them at this point. The Doctor going to take a little bit of damage from Zuki, and the trap from Celeste on Keratin going to pop onto Olaf's Lockwood. Thrill's trying to get some damage down, but he is way back out of the fight there, trying to get back in. Again, these guys not using cover very much, but I mean, at this point, you have to just rush at him.
So now all they have to make sure is they don't lose 3 members of JSC at this point. Seems pretty safe with Hacksaw pretty healthy and Saber King throwing some shields from the back. I don't think they have a last known on Keratin either, so this would have to be a pretty good set of guesses to take them out.
Yeah, Anatomical, the closest member, but he is behind the wall, getting that Helio shield just to make sure. Keratin off in the corner, pretty safe. Gonna throw down another trap, anticipating somebody walking up into that position, trying to get in on him. Trap coming in from Olaf's Lockwood, but nothing really coming from there. The Doctor is in that brush. They know where he's at, trying to lay down some damage, but he is that front line Asana.
We love to share.
And some heals coming in, so the shield was justified there, and runs over the Lockwood trap, so very nicely done to shield up that turn.
All right, now Anatomical can put this black hole wherever they want to. And Nyx is out in the open. The Doctor's out in the open. All of these catalysts and dashes are down. This might actually turn into a 5-0 win instead of an evasive victory. Or a 5-1 win, excuse me, instead of an evasion.
Reap your just reward.
And last turn, turn number 20. It doesn't really matter what happens here. It's just, are they going to get that 5th kill or not, basically, or just shoot him? They've basically locked this one down. Hacksaw's going to fly in, and Keratin is going to get out of there.
Cut in twain.
The Doctor throwing down that last taunted basic attack, not going to hit anybody, unfortunately. Olaf getting some good damage down onto Anatomical, right where he jumped into, but it's not going to be enough again. All the taunts being used up here last turn. Might as well throw them out there. And I think this one is as good as done at this point. Black Hole going to pop. Throwing a lot of people through that wall, but still nobody going down for the COTP side this turn. Still going to be Just Shoot 'em taking it 4-1 in game number 2. So they do get that sweep, that all-important 3 points in round number 1.
So JSE's got to be happy with that match. Their numbers were off the charts. They were in control from start to finish. Again, they hurted the enemy team where they wanted them, did a lot of damage, were able to avoid kills, especially that Rask almost went down several turns in a row, ended up going down, but just took so much of the enemy's time and still was able to do damage while at low health, and was the only death of the entire game at the near the very end. So definitely a strong showing from a team that you might see again at that final tournament. They are looking to rack up these points and join the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, there's no question they showed up here this week to play, man. They wanted to get those points and start moving up that leaderboard. So props to them. They did really well, but I honestly, I didn't really see myself, and maybe I was caught up in the action too much, but I didn't really see the mistakes that COTP were making, other than, like you said, maybe being out of cover most of the time, that really lost them those games. They just, perhaps just out of position.
And I think that that's part of the story. Part of it starts in the pick phase before the picks and the bans. Picking the map, they saw that JSE Game 1 had a big control over. They were just able to herd the enemy team better. You can say for a couple different reasons, because of the composition, just because of the way they were moving, the way they were using, but they were able to control the positions on the map, and they were able to engage and disengage effectively. They get their tanks in, then they get their tanks back out. They keep those firepowers at a range, but still always doing damage. So they really like these big maps, these open. You saw them use the bigger open spaces in the last map. And then you go to a map that favors that playstyle instead of the closer maps where you can move somewhere and still always easily find cover. Instead, you saw COTP constantly moving outside of cover because they were struggling to get the range, to get the shots that they needed to. And COTP, I think, picking the smaller map like Cloudspire would have really helped them out this game too, as well as making good advantage of that cover, working with your position as a team, not just to get shots, but to make it so that the enemy team doesn't have really good spots they can stand and force you to group up. Instead of going was individually best for each of you guys, that really they were able to be almost herded into the spots that these couple AoEs really did work for JSE.
Yeah, I would have to agree with, I mean, again, everything that you just said, I think is spot on. And looks like we're going to be joined by Hacksaw from Just Shoot 'em, the team captain. Welcome, sir.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing great. Thank you for asking.
So that's got to be.
What are we talking about here? What's the focus?
Well, the focus is on JSE, and I know you guys had a bit of a rough start going into this, but a nice clean sweep to start week 3. So tell us what exactly was causing those issues in the first couple weeks. You guys came in as the 3rd seed, the 3rd rank from last year, and some people are debating if you couldn't have taken 2nd, and then you had a rough start. Why is that?
Yeah, I was talking about this with Saga the other day. I think what really happened is we got this opportunity to add 2 people to the team, and we were so focused on that it kind of threw us off our rhythm a little bit. Additionally, once we ended up picking 2 people, we then kind of tried to figure out, well, are we going with a core lineup? Are we going with a set rotation? The focus of our team is to have fun, and we are still all about fun, but it creates somewhat of an awkward situation when you have 2 people who may or may not be guaranteed to play. So honestly, it isn't until last week at the 11th hour that we decided, no, we're going with our core lineup. And, as a result, Mott's decided to leave. He decided to go with another team, which is all the best. We left on friendly terms. And Saber is comfortable with being a dedicated sub. So I think it was really a lot of just mental fatigue over the whole sub situation that was affecting gameplay.
All
Very
right.
interesting insight. I appreciate the honesty there. Haxel, how much practice have you guys been running through this past week? I know from week 2 play this week, I mean, you're starting off really strong here, looking very, very solid. And a few of those things, of course, you just talked about why could be possible. But how much practice have you guys actually put in between week 2 and week 3?
We typically play on weeknights for 2 to 3 hours doing casual games, just having fun. And then I think a couple nights a week we run a scrim, which is usually a 2-game set with another team. And that's pretty much it. All of us have full-time jobs. So this is, that's pretty much as we can do.
All right, now I'd like if you could talk us through on Flyway Freighter. We saw, first of all, we put you up on game 1 for MVP, and on Flyway Freighter we saw Rask in the corner on low health with a Lockwood and a Nyx both with their trap up. What's the decision process there between dashing and not dashing and where exactly to go when you have so many traps surrounding you in that situation?
It's pretty funny because as a frontline, is the ability to kind of show off a little bit. If you avoid a trap and actually do something useful, they go, "Ooh, that was pretty cool." But the bottom line is you just don't want to die and look stupid. So the Nyx trap in that situation was pretty easy to avoid because I know Nyx's trap is linear. It can't shoot around corners. So I knew he was in front of me, and therefore I had to move in a direction that I would not pass through that trap. So that one was pretty easy to avoid. I had an idea that the Lockwood trap would be coming in that other direction as well. So in this case, it was not me being a complete brainiac. It was just knowing the mechanics. And I moved safely that turn. And then I figured the next turn, there'd be some kind of shots coming back. So I figured, instead of going aggro on the ult, I would just dash back to safety and figured that Nyx or Lockwood would be coming around the corner again. And that ended up being the case. And I think that ended up forcing the catalyst out of Nyx a little bit later, so that was good.
Yeah, certainly it did. And I guess moving forward, my last question for you, I don't know if Restart has anything more, but what is going to bring you guys to the tournament this season? We just talked a little bit about the prize pool being more than double what it was season number 1. I mean, a lot's on the line here. If you get in there and you get into the top 4 spots, you get paid. So what's going to bring you guys to the show? Is it going to be the power of friendship, or is it going to be just straight up nose to the grindstone practice?
I fully believe that the people on our team are very intelligent people and are dedicated as they can be given their life circumstances. So we're always thinking about the game. Whenever I get a chance, I jump on Twitch, even at work when I can, and look at people playing and try to notice little things. I follow the chat, etc. And I think we're all of us on the team pretty much that same way. We don't really have the ability to put our nose to the grindstone, so it's kind of just, if you can up your individual skill to an extent where you can make intelligent decisions and make calls properly in game, it becomes a lot easier to do well. So we're just continuing to try to up our individual skill and really to up our communication. I can tell you pretty confidently that every game we've lost, as a captain, I've noticed a distinct lack of communication for whatever variety of reasons. There's things that affect your communication in game, and when that quiet game happens, you lose. So we're really just focusing on brushing up on our individual skills, keeping track of how we feel the meta is as far as picks and bans, and just communication is the key. That's what will get us the record that we need to make a tournament.
Well, wise words from the captain of a team that you guys all have to watch out for this year. Just Shoot 'em rising in points rapidly and gonna take on Play for Fun next. Now, before we let you go here, is there any final words you want to say to the people at home, your fans, or maybe Play for Fun as they might be checking this out and getting ready for this next match?
I think the main point of the get everybody excited about the game. I know Freeman has done a lot for getting new people into the game, and I think as we continue to play in this league, you got to cater to the new folks, tell them everything you can about the game. So I'll just leave them with one piece of advice. You know, in this game, prediction makes you look really good, but when in doubt, just shoot them.
Very nice. All right, thank you for being on. We appreciate you doing this interview with us, and we're going to get ready for this next set as is Hacksaw when Just Shoot 'Em takes on Play for Fun next.
All right.
Sounds good, guys. Have a great night.
You too. Good luck.